Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today and welcome to BuzzBack's latest webinar, Mixed Method Hacks, How to Connect with Consumers Every Time. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode. However, we'll be fielding a Q&A at the end of the presentation using the chat feature. You may submit questions at any time today by typing them in. Please note that we'll also be showing videos throughout the webinar. If you are dialing in over the phone, you're going to need to turn up your computer speakers right before those videos start so that you can hear. We will also try to send you out a little notification right before they start. I would also like to take this time to introduce you to Monica Boudreau, BuzzBack's Research Director of Qualitative Insights. With 13+ years of experience, Monica Boudreau is BuzzBack's in-house qualitative expert with a knack for uncovering insights and storytelling. Formerly trained by the Burke Institute and CPSI, Monica's experience spans in-person and online qualitative research, including one-on-ones, dyads, triads, mini-groups, groups, ethnographic research, shop-alongs, mobile studies, and interactive online boards and sessions. Monica holds a BA in journalism and psychology and a master's degree in applied social research from Lehigh University. Monica, please go ahead.
Thanks, Melanie. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Monica, and I'm happy to have you all here listening today. So I'd like to talk to you about some of these hacks that you can use about mixing up your methods and how that can yield deeper insights and more engagement. But before I do, just a little bit about BuzzBack. If you're not familiar with us, we work with half of the top 50 global consumer product companies and 10 of the top 20 global pharmaceutical companies. And they're mostly engaging us to help them understand their consumers and develop new products and concepts. So we have a portfolio of these interactive techniques that you can see here that we use, all with the end goal of engagement. When we started 17 years ago, what was lacking from online quantitative was that engagement. So we turned to qualitative techniques and projectives to incorporate in. And while online quant and quali-quant will always be important to us and they'll really always be the core of what we do, what I'd like to discuss today is how to further engage in your qualitative studies. So as a researcher, I'm constantly looking for ways to mix up the research, but in my personal life, I'm a mom of a 2-year-old, so mixing things up can become very important on a daily basis. And some of you with children might know 2-year-olds can be just as challenging as respondents. One thing that's particularly difficult with my son Luca is dinner time and getting him to eat and getting him to enjoy it. So here you can see Luca's typical dinner plate, and yes, he will eat dinner from this plate eventually. It'll just take a long time. He might not eat everything. He likely won't enjoy it, and I might even have to spoon feed it to him. But just by mixing up the delivery to the dump truck plate or the pirate adventure plate, dinner time is now a whole new world. So not only will he eat all his dinner, but it's an adventure for him, and he'll be excited at every touch point along the way without me having to spoon feed him. So the same goes for respondents in qualitative research. Yes, you can and will get learning with your typical approaches, but by mixing it up a little, you can get respondents excited, you can even make it an adventure, and get a lot more out of them without having to spoon feed it. So what we'll cover today, first I'll give you some background on mixed methods today, and then I'll talk about our point of view on ways to mix up those methods and show you case study examples of how we've been able to deliver deeper insights for our clients by mixing it up. And then we'll end with questions you can ask yourself to make this work for you and for your studies. So first, what is the theory of mixed methods? An expert on mixed methods, John Creswell, describes it as a procedural approach for conducting research that involves collecting, analyzing, and mixing quantitative and qualitative data within a single program of study. But more broadly speaking, it could just be described as combining methodologies within phases or across phases to meet particular objectives. So why use them in the first place? Well, all methods have their pros and cons. So by mixing them up, you have a greater chance of balancing them and getting the best of both worlds. Also, by changing the venues of the research, you continuously dig deeper, coming at it from all angles to get more depth. And then mixing it up typically just makes it a bit more interesting, a bit more fun, which is great for everyone involved, the respondents, the clients, and the researchers. So today, typical mixed methods can be as simple as doing a qualitative portion and a quantitative portion. Or within qualitative, you can do online and in person. Or for each respondent, they can go across many methods and different techniques. But what if we instead branch beyond methodology and vary all of the elements within to get a 360-degree view of your target consumer or patient or business professional, your product, your service, your behavior, whatever it is that you're studying? So how can you mix it up more than you are today? Let's go through some examples of what you can mix up, and I'll show you some case studies of what they could look like. So here we have some different angles. There are many different angles that you can take within a study, but here are 5 to start with that can typically be found in research studies, particularly qualitative ones. We have atmosphere, timing, devices, audience, and activities. So you can change up each of these angles to first just mix it up, but then to help reach deeper and most importantly, clarify an insight. So an insight that you found, clarifying it clearly and distinctly. So let's take a look at our first one, atmosphere. So change the atmosphere, mix up where they respond and with whom or what. So typically, participants or respondents are alone, whether it's a one-on-one interview, whether they're home participating in an online forum or a webcam interview, besides focus groups, even though they are actually answering alone. But being alone allows for quiet and complete reflection. So that's great for the most part. I recently did some webcam interviews, one-on-one, and it was with a mom, and she was in her walk-in closet in order to do the interview. And the reason why she had to go there is so that her kids would not bother her. Or a lot of people will do them at work. Or if I'm interviewing a patient for a medical study, the patient is in, say, their work office rather than at home, because again, that's where they can have this quiet and complete reflection. So that's great for the most part, but it's out of context. So what if we forced them into context? So for that mom, what if she was in the midst of getting her kids ready for dinner? We could really see the madness and the chaos and real life going on. Maybe not for a live IDI, but maybe she could put the camera in the corner of the kitchen to record a clip. Or for a patient who takes medication, has a condition, maybe while they're in the doctor's office waiting room, they could record an audio message of how they're feeling. Again, it's right in the moment of the context of when they're about to go in, so you really get what's going on in their heads. Or if evaluating a new type of medication or a product, answer the question in the bathroom or bedroom or whatever they take their medication or use their products. Again, just putting them in context. If you want to know why people aren't trying a product or going to a certain place, force them to. So maybe they aren't going in store anymore to buy a new cell phone. Have the respondent go in store and truly evaluate the situation. It's something they wouldn't think to do, and if we force them there to address that barrier, we can really learn about the good and the bad of the situation. Finally, have them be the researcher and see how others are reacting within the situations as sort of a third party. So in the case of the cell phone store, respondents see the customers interacting, hard to find someone to answer questions. It makes them more observant so that they can have a closer look and learn about themselves as well. What if we alter the timing as another angle to mix up? So if something happens in a typical day, give them a day to respond, or several days to have some back and forth, or to chart longitudinal use or beliefs or behaviors, give them several weeks to do it. And within any of those time frames, you can also make them do the same thing twice. So what if you first give them a restricted amount of time to do something to get top of mind feedback? So tell me the top 5 things that you love in 20 seconds. And then have them come back into the same task and see if their thoughts or opinions would change with more time to reflect on it. So give them, say, 5 minutes. You could see what comes top of mind, what comes with more reflection, have them compare and contrast the similarities and differences, and from there they can learn about their decisions and why they mentioned the things that they did.